Hi everyone, and good morning. This is Scott Fiaschetti from Geopath, and I'm here with Brian Schopper from Geopath as well. Good morning. Just want to say thank you to everybody for joining today. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's excited about a nice long weekend coming up, and thank you for taking time out of your day today to join us. So, as you probably are aware, this is our monthly kind of overview of the Geopath Insight Suite. So we've been doing these monthly since May, and the goal of these is really to just make sure all of our members are aware of the changes going on with the Insight Suite and give you a chance to see them and to just show you how to use the new tools as they're rolled out. And as I said, we've been doing these in May, June, and July. So there's some things that, if this is your first time joining one of these, I will cover at a high level the tool and do a big walkthrough, but there's some very specifics that you may want to go back and watch in especially the June and July ones. And I'll, as we go along, I'll let you know what those things are that I'm not going to go deep dive into today on, but that have been covered in other webinars. So basically, what we're going to do, overview of the Insight Suite, kind of walk through that, talk about what the updates are, show you how to use those things, and then also show you how to find support or provide feedback to us, because the feedback is really critical as we're developing this tool. Because, and again, if you've joined these webinars before, you'll probably see this slide is very familiar, because I do always like to talk about the fact that we are building this tool for the industry, but we really feel like it's being built by the industry, because we've been really getting a ton of feedback all along from our Geopath Finder beta testers to now everybody. So all of our members have access to the tool, and you can explore it, and we want you to explore it, and we want you to give feedback, because that really helps us understand what's working, what isn't. Apologies for the sirens if you're hearing those in the background in New York. We're okay. Yeah. Nothing's happening to us. But again, what I wanted to say is that definitely provide feedback, because it does help. We are in an agile development schedule. So what that really means is that every couple of weeks we're doing a new release of the tool. And with each new release, more features and functionality are added so that we can pressure test them, so to speak, and really work out any bugs as we go along. So when the tool is fully capable and ready for prime time, everything will be working great, and there will be a lot of feedback throughout, so that it's a tool that everybody can use and really is something that is valuable for the industry. I always want to make sure I do say, too, that the tool right now is a beta tool, and so that means a couple of things. So the impression data is for non-commercial use. So really, this is out there for you to explore and to, try to break it, so to speak. So again, if you run into any issues, let us know. It is a beta tool, so there are times where things might not work right, but we need to know that. That's what I mean by the last bullet. Please explore and provide feedback. So just if you haven't logged into the tool yet, and I know some of the people on the call today probably haven't, I just want to let you know what you're going to see. So it's a very visual tool with an interactive map, much more visually, hopefully pleasing and visually usable than our ADS system. But you can zoom into cities, specific streets, intersections. You can filter inventory by a variety of different types, so media type, by operator, by location, and I'll show you all of those things once we jump into the tool itself. And then one of the key things is that we do have an audience-first approach to this. We realized and got a ton of feedback as we were developing the tool that audience is key. People want to be able to understand and tell stories about their audience. And the way the tool is set up, you can actually, I always like to quasi-joke about it, that you can kind of like choose your own adventure with it, right? You can, if audience is most important for you and the task you're trying to do, you can go down that path, or if it's market, or if it's type of media. So you can really use the tool in any way, but it does have a kind of an audience-first focus to it as well. And then third, all of the inventory that we audit is up on the system, and there's detailed information for every piece of inventory there. So that said, at this point, it is all of our roadside inventory, the fleet and transit will be added as we're moving along with the development. But you can sort and filter by impressions, compositions, reach and frequency, TRPs, etc. So all of that is there and available, and I'll show you how to access that and view that. But one of the key things with these monthly sessions is really to talk about what's new since the last session. So one of the key things that you'll see in the tool, again, if you logged into it in the past and are now logging into it again, is that the Places module is now active. So we have points of interest for all across the country, and you can search by specific place or at a category level. So I'll show you how to do that, and here's a screenshot showing you can really just, if you wanted to just focus on one location, you can, or if you want to just apply a whole group. So if you're looking at a chain, so this example is showing IKEA's, but it's like a Burger King or a Starbucks or whatever, you can start to do that and add that as a group of places and map those on your map, and we'll do all that in a moment, and add it to your inventory filter as well, so you can see the points of interest in the same view as you're showing all of your inventory map that you're looking at. So, and then again, save this for future use as well. This is what they're talking about there. The other thing that has changed in this one is that we've added more profiles. So the Household Profiles tab is now active and has a variety of different attributes. So again, as we've been going along, as you've been following along with these webinars, you'll see that this area we've been slowly adding more and more attributes. I think we're well over 100 different attributes across the population, demographic, household profiles, as well as consumer profiles. And in the next release, which I believe is coming on Tuesday, there'll be about 300 plus different attributes, ultimately working towards with our partnership with Claritas, I believe we have access to approximately 10,000 different attributes. And you'll see as we get into the tool, the interface for this will evolve slightly. But again, we wanted to just continue to roll out different attributes to make the tool more useful and valuable for our members as we're going along. And then one quick kind of usability, user interface aspect that's changed. So previously, if you've probably used the tool, you've noticed like if you click between Explore or Workspace or any one of the other modules, it would reset. So that doesn't happen any longer. So your mapping progress is now saved. No matter where you go in the tool, you can come back. And that's really important for working with the Places module as well. So to be able to map your inventory and come back to the Places. One note, last time in July we talked about the Workspace module that came live then. I'm probably not going to go a deep dive in that. I'll do a quick overview of how you use that. But if you really want to get more information on that, those would be in the July webinars that are posted on our website. And again, before we leave, I'll show you where those are and how to access those. But without further ado, let's take a look. Brian, just want to check any questions at this point?
No, nothing yet.
Okay, cool, awesome. So I'm going to jump over to the tool, and if you've logged in before, this is familiar. If not, this will be new to you. So after you log in with your unified user credentials, you'll receive a screen that's agree to the legal aspects, and then you'll come here. And what you're seeing right now is a mapped view of all the roadside inventory that we audit. So looking here on the right, 52 billion target impressions. That's 52 billion impressions for person 0+, and that's the default that we measure against. So you'll see here it says in purple, total population 0+ years. And so essentially, because we have not picked a different target yet, it's 100% of those impressions are from that target. So that's why the target composition is 100%. So now I'm just going to go along the top here. And this is where I was talking about before about this audience first approach. See, these first two tabs is where you can set your audience and market. And then the four to the right is really then is where you start to filter the inventory that you want. So this will look familiar just because you just saw the screenshot, but you'll see that there's a variety of different populations, So again, right now it's 0 plus is the default, but persons 5 plus, 18, 21, and then here in the demographic profiles, there's a variety here. So based on race, you can see ethnicity, and then kind of these breakdowns between age and ethnicities as well. And as you scroll through, again, it breaks down by male, female, all persons, and then a variety of things like commuting to work. Do they walk to work? Do you carpool? Do you want to look for people that bike to work, that use light rail? And then the language is spoken in the home as well. And again, these will continue to be added. And as we add more, as what I mentioned earlier, the user interface will change here. So it's a little bit bucketed more visually, because we realize as these lists get longer, they'll be harder to scroll through. And then again, this is the new area, what I mentioned just a moment ago. So household income attributes, as well as rental, how much people are spending on rent, the actual home value, and as you get to the bottom here, married, unmarried, number of vehicles in the household. So a variety of different things here. And again, this will be increasing. And then this is where we have the more behavioral aspects. So things like, been to a family sit-down restaurant in the past 30 days, Starbucks, etc. And then in the new release, we'll also be including the Claritas's Prism segmentation. So there's about 68 different segments that they have there as well that you'll be able to use in the filter. So that's that. And then you can also then pick your market, and it will autofill as you type in a market, which I'll do in a moment. And then, like I said, here we have all our media types. So they're all nested underneath these broader categories, and you can see how the number breaks down into what we audit, and based on what the subtypes underneath. So posters, there's 128,000 plus that we audit there, and then look at all of our member operators here. I know I scrolled a little bit quickly through that, but we'll go back to that. And then here, you may ask, like, well, why is there market and location? So market is really setting your area that you want to look at. So I might want to look at Starbucks, people that have been to Starbucks in the past 30 days in a particular DMA. But then when you get to location, it's really when you start to really narrow in. So you may want to just look at all the inventory in the view of the map that you've set, or you may want to draw a little polygon around a set of inventory and just focus on that inventory. Or you may want to look at a specific area, like a geography or a state. So as you type in, so I'm typing in Portland, so it's showing up. Do I want to look at the CBSA or the DMA, things like that. And then here is where you can start to add any list of Geopath panel IDs you might have, or if you have specific plant unit IDs from the provider. And then down here, I'll talk about in a moment, but this is how you can set your points of interest. You can create a set of points of interest and use that to add it to your map eventually. And then you can create your own custom packages of inventory sets that you want to look at. And we'll do all that in a moment. Okay, so kind of did a high-level walkthrough here, and I just want to do a few things, some kind of things that I like to try to do. So one thing, if I'm starting to focus on an audience, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just go to that audience and pick and look at it at a national level. So I'm going to pick family sit-down restaurants today. So you can see here how it auto-changed here. So, it was saying 52 billion impressions. And so now, because I picked a target, so it's saying sit-down restaurant right here, there's 28 billion target impressions across all the inventory we audit, which comes out to be about 53% of target impression composition. So now I have that number. So I know as I start to deep dive into a market, I can say, is this market over-indexing, under-indexing for that in terms of impressions generated for that target? Let me clear out of that for 1 second. I'll go back to the target population. So another thing that I always like to do as well is, if you ever used our Inventory Explorer tool, you can also start to use this tool in the same way. So let's say you want to understand where a provider has inventory. Let's see. Let me pick one. Let me see right here, Lamar. I know you guys have a lot of inventory across the country. So here you can just see as a bubble map where inventory is located, and then start to use that. If it's an area that you're starting to explore and you haven't been, if you're a planner saying, oh, I've never worked in Amarillo, who has inventory there? You can start to use it for like that, or just get a general sense of where a particular provider has inventory. So I always think that's a nice little feature that you can use as well. Let me go back and pick up my sit-down restaurant, apply that again, and then let's pick a market. I'm going to go to Portland today. I like to hop around the country. So Portland, Oregon. I was there a couple of months ago and had fun there. So you can see there's 2,700 pieces of inventory there that generate 249 billion impressions, and based on our target, 142 million impressions. So 142 million of those that said they've been to a family sit-down restaurant past 30 days. And you can see here it's 58%. So it's over-indexing a little bit for that. It was 53% when I looked at it nationally. So this might be a good market to do whatever. Let's pretend Applebee's is a client, and where you have to put together a proposal for them, and let's see what's going to happen here. So you can see as I'm zooming in, the colors change, and they're these Skittles, so to speak. We talk about them as sometimes. And you may be wondering, like, what are all these colors? What does it mean? Well, there's a key right here if you want, and you can see. So the orange are bulletins, the goldenrod is posters, street furniture, etc. I'm going to start to filter that in a moment, but I want to show you, if you ever have any questions on anything, I want to jump out and show you here. You can just click Help. There's also this feedback button down here, and I did mention earlier that I want to be able to. We want everybody to be able to give us feedback, and this is where you can do that, and I'll show you in a second. You can also have live chat. So again, if you ever have a question, you can just type in, "Hey, I'm having trouble finding my inventory. Can you help me?" And somebody will respond to you here as well. But let's just go to Help quick. I want to show you some other things. There's a lot of articles and information we've put together. So if you really want to understand, like, what do those icons mean? So you can search that, key symbols and icons. And here's a whole article on that. So the color coding, so you'll see as we zoom in, the iconography will change. And when you see anything with a black circle around it, it means it's a digital piece of inventory, and without it, it's non-digital. And these chevrons show directionality as well as number of sides. And there's a host of different things that you can search for and find information on here. Also, too, we are building, and I've mentioned this in past times, and if you were able to join any of our training sessions at the conference, you'll see that I used some of these videos, but we're putting together a video series on a variety of different topics. So this right here, what's up there now, are basically measurement fundamentals. So if you ever need a refresher, and somebody new on your team started and you want to have them watch these. So this is a video on what's an impression, how is it generated, how do you calculate a GRP, what is reach and frequency, and how is that calculated. So they're about 3-minute videos on all of these topics, and there's also available one-pages for all of those as well. So that's my little plug for the education and training. So I want to go back to the map. So like I said, here we have all the Skittles here, and let's clean it up. Yeah, let's clean it up a little bit first. So let's look at just posters today and transit shelters. Let's do that. Boom, apply. Great. So cleaned it up a little bit. So gotten rid of some of the inventory. Maybe for what we're trying to do, we don't need to have. Oh, I zoomed in a little bit. So here's where you can see that the iconography starts to change. And if you can see here that this area, the right side, has also adjusted as well. So 39 million impressions. So just picking those two media types generates 66 million impressions weekly. And it's also getting higher. So we move up from 53% nationally to 58% at the DMA level, to now 60% for what I picked right here. So, and also you can sort and filter by a bunch of different, so total impressions, target impressions, a whole variety of things, as I mentioned, reach, frequency, TRPs, etc. I want to focus on in-market target impressions. That's really what's important for me and for my client. I guess I mentioned Applebee's as the client a moment ago. So Applebee's really wants to focus in on all of that, on just in-market impressions. So you can also sort, if you want to just look at the top 25, top 50, et cetera. You can create a custom list here. And also you can download this as a CSV file and start to work with it that way. So if you want to start to use it to calculate, if you put a package together and start to look at package TRP, package reach and frequency, you can start to look at it that way as well. And also you can just create custom inventory sets. We'll do that. We'll do that for you in a moment fairly quickly. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Boom. So let me show you let me show you this piece of inventory. So you can see as I scroll around the map, it's showing you where my inventory is located. Let me take this piece right here. There we go. So map view. So again, as you click on that, gives you the basics, on that, weekly impressions generated, where it's located, plant ID, Geopath ID, etc. And just a little bit of an aside here. One piece of feedback early on we got was like, hey, you should include the plant ID in this front of the card. And we're like, great idea. So again, as we get feedback, it really does help and gets incorporated just to let you know and show you. So I clicked for more information and kind of had this kind of back of the card. I think of it as like a baseball trading card, right? All the facts and figures on that. So you can see here, high-level inventory at a glance. This inventory overview is based on all the different attributes here. What other things does it over-index for? We already know this is a pretty top one for what we filtered on. It was the fourth one in the list, so it has generating a lot of impressions for family sit-down restaurants. But also, it over-indexes for those that bus to work or that rent. It looks like 1,500 to 1,500 plus if you look at both of those together, those two attributes. And then as you look on the right side here, top zip code. So where is that piece of inventory drawing audience from? So 34% of it's coming from this one zip code. And I want to do a little quick exercise with you on that to show you kind of a compelling story. And then other kind of top market areas. So this one's pretty solidly in the DMA. So most of its audience is coming from the Portland, Oregon DMA. And then here's your basic weekly audience summary. So population, we have our total, as I said, total 0+ is our base. And then everything's compared against that, all the other metrics and how composition is calculated. Create the composition index and the TRPs. And reach and frequency is available. This one, it looks like, if it's showing up as NA, it means that we're in the background reviewing it and making sure it's accurate. So that's one of the things we're doing in the background as we're constantly evolving the tool. So if you ever wonder, like, hey, how do you calculate composition index? Well, you can just click here, right here on the I button, and it flips over, and there's definitions on everything that's on the front of that card and explanation of how all those things are calculated. And if you ever want to, you can export this as a PDF as well, right there. I'll do that quick and show you what that looks like. Auto-generating it. And then once that's done, it's downloaded here, and I can just call it up here, and all the information is there. Let me go back to the insights view here, and if you want to get back to the front of the card, you just click there. So I mentioned that a lot of the 34%, so over a third of the audience is coming from this one zip code. Well, let's see what that's all about. So I mentioned earlier, right? You can just copy and paste your inventory into any of these lists. So I'm going to just copy it right from here. Go to this more, go to Geopath panel ID, and just copy that right in. right? I could have pulled that from an Excel file. I could pull it from an email, a text file, anything like that. It's smart enough to kind of understand and digest that. So I did that, so I'm going to apply it. And now we're focusing on just this one piece of inventory. And so let's see, let's go back to this location area. And we said the zip code was 97217. That's where 34% of this audience is coming from. Let me apply that. And let's see here. So it's covering a wide area, but look, the inventory is located here, and a third of its audience is coming from a place where it's not located. And I feel like this is a really compelling story, and a story we've been wanting to tell and have told. Like when I'm on the road talking with sales reps, this is a story that they always want to be able to tell. It's like even though the inventory is here, it's still drawing audience from other places. And now we can show that visually, and we can also have the data to help explain that. So I feel like this is a really compelling story. And as the tool evolves and you're able to kind of put a grouping of inventory together and show where that audience comes from, I think this will be an even more compelling story over time. So cool. So anyhow, I want to show you that. Let me clear out of here, and I'll clear out of that so we can look at the group of inventory as well. All right. The other thing I want to show you here, so we're looking at it visually right now. We have our right side filtered here, but another view is we have a table view. So all of the inventory can be viewed at a table level, and you can start to create a custom package here. You can also do it on the other view, but this is kind of easier to compare everything in a column or tab. So you can sort here. So let's say, for Applebee's, I want to have a mix of different types of inventory, right? Because I know different pieces, you want to have it all work together in unison. So maybe we want some that have a lot of impressions. So we want a lot of total weekly impressions. Let me pick these 4 or 5 here. And then I also want a lot of target impressions. So let's see. I want ones that over-index. So these are over-indexing a little bit. So let me pick those. And you can see, right, they're different, right? So they're not the same inventory that's generating a lot of impressions. So I want to mix in some targeted impressions here. Let's see here. And then if this set had reach and frequency available, we could also sort by that and include those as well. So then you're starting to kind of create this grouping, this package. And let me close that a little bit. Close this. All right, so as I pick those, they become highlighted in the map up here. I'm going to close this out and show them here. Right? So got a good dispersion. They're all around the Portland area. Let's say this is going to be my package, right? So right now we're only seeing those. So let's say I want to save as a new inventory set. So this is my Portland set for Applebee's. I don't know why I said Applebee's, but Applebee's. Right, great. And so this is for their campaign, Eating Good. Okay, right. Eating Good. Save it for it. So we save that. That is our inventory set. Right? So let's go back, and I want to look at all of them again. I got my inventory set. So now I'm looking at all the inventory sorted by our in-market target impressions. So I'm looking around, I feel good. I feel good that my set is what I wanted. So I'm going to just go back to my saved set of inventory right here. And let's take that. Portland Applebee's, I believe I called it. All right, so there we go. There's my set that I have here. Cool. Another thing that you could do is, I'm just going to jump here to the workspace just to show it to you. You can set up projects and create set different scenarios and cluster them. So maybe there's 2 or 3 different Applebee's ones that I want to do. So I could start to kind of name it, give a good explanation of it, and you can also tag it. So let's say maybe I'm working with a QSR group and I want to filter by that or sort by that, you can start to do that as well here. But again, like I said, I'm not going to cover this in depth today. We did that a bunch in the July webinar, so that's all available on our website. And again, before I leave here today, we'll show you how to get to those as well. So going back to my inventory set that I have here. Let me call that up again. Actually, let me call it. Great. So there they are. So I want to go to Places and talk about Places today, because that's a new thing. So let me zoom over to Portland here. I'm going to zoom in. I want to focus on that. So if I looked at it, if I just pick nationally, you would see the national set of places for whatever you can pick. So here's at a categorical level, you can pick, and it would show up the list of things in there. And then places, you can look specifically. So an example that the screenshot was IKEA, but let's go with my Applebee's. So you can see here, so I'm looking at all of the Applebee's in my view. So I could pick one if I want to, or I can pick the full set. What it's going to show you is a set of 10. And you can save this set, and then if you need to see more, you can continually add to the set. And this is something that's going to, the functionality that will evolve and change over time. You know, being able to look at bigger sets without having to do this. And then also, we know another key aspect is going to be that, like, yeah, I just want to focus on this one location and draw a radius or a buffer area around that and see the inventory within that. So that is what's coming in the next release, I believe, or the one after that, where the functionality is there and ready to be launched. But for now, let me just do a place set. Let me call this, let's see. Apple So I'm going to create this place set. Okay, great. Boom, I have it. And let's say I want to go back to my map and see, okay, well, I picked those 10 or 12 pieces of inventory. How are they, where are they in relation to the Applebee's? You know, I want to make sure we're kind of in the right locations in terms of the Applebee's location. So let me see here. Let me call up my inventory set. Let me call it that again. So apply that. I'm just going to reapply my inventory that I picked. There they are. And now let me add my Places set here. There, that's one I just generated. And you'll see it, I'll overlay it right into the set of inventory that I have. There we go. So again, you'll see that all this functionality is evolving and changing. So I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. It's not showing everything, which is kind of nice in a way too, because then I can start going back and filter. But here is all the inventory and the different places that we have selected here. And again, as I mentioned, over time, this functionality is going to evolve and improve. So right now, this is the kind of core structure we needed to build and put together so that we can start to move forward and allow members to kind of pick one place of interest and start to map out kind of a radius or a trade area and then inventory and audience within that. So these are the beginning stages of that as well. And I think that's all, that's what I wanted to run through today. I do want to pause and see if there's any other questions, Brian. I know one question that we have gotten in the past is like, where are these places of interest coming from? And that's through our partnership with the HERE POI database. So HERE Maps is one of our partners, and we're going to be leveraging their database for these points of interest over time. So that's one of the key questions that we often get. So, as we're looking to see or giving people time to type in any questions, I do want to point out any other webinars that we're having. And so we're going to be doing these monthly, right, as we've done. And just so you can get the sense of the cadence and plan, the last Thursday and Friday of each month is when we're going to do these. So the next set will be in September, and Thursday, September 27th from 2 to 3, so save the date, or Friday, 11 to 12. And again, these typically are the similar sessions run twice. We know, not everybody can always make when we have a single one, so we want to do them a couple times each month. And again, in the interim, if you do have questions, you can always reach out to us at geekout@geopath.org. But as I promised too, I wanted to show you where you can access any of our other webinars that we've done. So this is a screenshot of our webpage, so you can go to Geek Out tab, and you just scroll down on the Geek Out tab so you get to Out of Home Office Hours. And here's the 6 most recent ones that we've done. This one will be up there probably later today. If you want to look at any of the other ones that we've done historically, you can just click here where it's here in blue. If you haven't yet checked out the Out of Home Office Hours, How Planners Plan and Buyers Buy, that was a really great one that we did recently with planners from 4 different member agencies, from McDonald Media, Horizon, Out of Home Pitch, and Rapport. We had a lot of great response, and it really walked through kind of the planning and buying process. And we've had almost 700 views of this since, so I really encourage everybody to check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. And again, you can always reach out to us at geekout@geopath.org if you have any other questions. And just again, want to say thank you to everybody, and have a great long weekend. And have a good one. So no other questions? Nope. All right, cool. All right, everyone. Cheers. Have a great weekend.